So not only they used to hate my family before because we were living abundant life, but now they used to, bully me because, oh, she's American. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
What the hell, people? And all the time I was homeless, homesick, depressed, eating disorder happening. So I put on 60 pounds. Anyway, so that was the foundation of my, I guess, the next goal I decided to pursue. My dream was to become a lawyer so I can become powerful. And during that time, my father's business collapsed. And it did not happen because he was not smart, because of the legal system. And, me witnessing going from abundant lifestyle to nothing, the exact opposite, really not only shaped my understanding of reality, but also, number one, I was more motivated to pursue my dream to become a lawyer.
Most of us never learned how to train our brains, which is why most of us needlessly settle, struggle, and worse, suffer. My name is Chris Doris, and I want to make brain training mainstream. This is my series, Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. I'm interviewing badasses from all walks of life on what mental toughness means to them and their unique approaches to strengthening their minds. Hey folks, welcome back to Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. I'm your host, Chris Doris, and our guest today is named Marieta Oslanec. Marieta was introduced to me via a former Tough Talks guest, Frances Pichet. Marieta is France's immigration lawyer. That is not why I am interviewing her. I am interviewing her because in addition to being an immigration lawyer, she's also an author of a very fascinating book entitled Love is the Law, 21 Universal Laws to Activate Your Inner Genius and Uplift Humanity. And she's also a coach, and we'll get to that. But I wanted to read a tiny little bit of her bio to give a little background. So she moved from Slovakia to the United States when she was in her teens with only $700 and not speaking any English. She put herself through law school, became a licensed attorney in New York. No one would hire her, so she started her own company and hired herself. Then she decided to challenge herself further and travel the world solo. She spent 30 days in complete silence. We have to talk about that. In meditation retreats throughout Bali, Nepal, and Hawaii. Who does that? During this period, she faced her deepest fears and came to discover that they were only illusions. Hope we get to that as well. The truth is, many of our fears are not real. They are just our ego trying to protect us. What is real is love, and that is our higher self. The universe is governed by the ultimate law, which is love. And when we all collectively raise our consciousness, we will be able to create a new world. Well, that got my attention. So, Marieta is here waiting for us in the wings. Let's go find her. There she is! Marieta!
Yay!
Yay! Finally!
Yes.
I want to start off first by saying thank you, because we were supposed to have done this actually a week ago, like exactly 1 week to the minute. But my computer decided that that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, well, you never know. These things happen for a reason.
I believe that completely. It's funny. There's a sign in my office, which is right there, that wooden one. It was made by a friend of mine. She does these woodworkings. It's really funny. And it says, everything happens for a reason, but sometimes the reason is that you're stupid and you make bad decisions. Now, that wasn't any decisions that we made that I'm aware of, but the computer did make that decision. So one of the things that I like to, that I choose to believe as a mental coach is that every set of circumstances can be leveraged for gain if viewed masterfully, and that there are no problems. So, however, I did cancel last minute. So I want to apologize for that. And thank you for your incredible graciousness. You wrote back instantly. You're like, because I hate canceling things last minute. I hate that. And you're so gracious. You said, no problem. I said, not at all. Don't even worry about it. So I thought, wow, she's pretty cool. So in the introduction,
I read your bio to the folks that are listening and watching. And I'm hoping that we can spend some time on two things today. Okay. One is naturally your book. I'm totally fascinated with the book, why you wrote it, and what about it? Because you've got the book. The book, by the way, is called Love is the Law. 21. There it is, right on. For those of you watching, Marieta is holding
21 universal laws to activate your inner genius and uplift humanity.
And that is a mouthful right there. That's a lot. So I want to get to some of that. 21 universal laws to activate your inner genius and uplift humanity. That's a lot going on there, which is cool. So I'm very interested in that. But before we get to that, what I was hoping that we could do is talk a little bit about that 1 year in your life. About where you traveled around the world, you stayed in like 56 different hotels, you spent 30 days in silence, you were in Nepal and Bali and with monks and all this crazy stuff, which is amazing to me. But even before we get to that,
okay,
could you just give us a little bit about your background? I sense an accent.
Yes, I am from Slovakia, and I moved to US, I believe 12 years ago, 2007.
That's amazing because you spoke no English.
No, I didn't. No English.
Wow.
I mean, okay, let's be honest. There were a little English, but definitely not on a level where you go to law school and you study law in the United States. Right. So that wasn't the level of English I needed in order to obviously.
And you had $700 to your name when you moved here.
Yeah, I had $700. In Slovakia, the average monthly salary, I would say, was $800 back then. Now it's maybe over 1,000 euros. I don't know. It's still, it's still definitely a country that living in Slovakia can be challenging for some people, especially if you are not living in a capital city, which I was from small town of 5,000 people in central part of Slovakia. So I am like a village girl, basically. Oh, wow. And I had this big dream to move to US because my father was entrepreneur and I grew up in abundance. After the communism, my father started his company and I was basically this rich kid, almost kind of like that. And I saw the contrast in my classmates' life. For example, their parents were still employed, and it wasn't really cool to be different. Especially in a country that was post-communist country. And so I experienced, and my family experienced, all kinds of challenges. And then when I was about 15, 16 years old, my father decided to send me for 1 year to US as an exchange student, which I didn't ask for it. He just decided that one day you're going to be a global citizen. This is what you're doing. I'm like, Dad, I don't want to go. I'm good. It's like, no, you're going. So
where did you go?
So I ended up in West Virginia. And I put on 60 pounds from this ballroom. Yeah, I know. That's like a different story, different lifestyle.
Are those things connected? Is that
but it is connected.
Let me putting on 60 pounds?
Oh, yeah, it's so connected.
Would that have happened if you were in New Jersey?
Well, probably not. But I was so depressed, honestly, and homesick. And I really did not speak any English. Like, nothing, no words, nothing. I had difficult time to integrate into this culture. I was lost. Super homesick teenage girl.
Who were you living with?
With the host family, and so
and you guys couldn't communicate?
No, I couldn't because I didn't speak English. Was like a
that has
weird
to be so awkward.
Yeah, it was so hard. It
was
just
like kind of look at each other and nod and stuff. Or things like.
The idea was to learn English, to be surrounded by people who speak English, to be just immersed in the environment that is English-speaking environment. But it was just so challenging, and the culture shock and.
Were they helpful with that?
No. Anyway, that's when my journey really started. That's when my journey really started, when I was 16 years old. And then after that experience, 1 year abroad, I returned back home and I felt like complete outsider because I returned back to this small town, kind of village type of town where everybody knows everybody, close-minded people. So not only they used to hate my family before because we were living abundant life, but now they used to bully me because, she's American. You know what I mean?
Wow.
what the hell, people? And all the time I was homesick, depressed, eating disorder happening. So I put on 60 pounds. Anyway, so that was the foundation of my, I guess, the next goal I decided to pursue. My dream was to become a lawyer so I can become powerful. And during that time, my father's business collapsed. And it did not happen because he was not smart, because of the legal system. And, me witnessing going from abundant lifestyle to nothing, the exact opposite, really not only shaped my understanding of reality, but also, number one, I was more motivated to pursue my dream to become a lawyer. So A, I can help my father, and B, I can be powerful and I can, do something with my life. And C, because I was bullied and I did not fit in, I felt like outsider. I didn't have a choice. I basically decided to put my energy into law school, and I got accepted, and I went to law school, graduated in 2007, and I quickly realized that if I want to practice law in Slovakia, it's not going to happen. Because I could not even find a job, because usually back then, you had to have connection.
Oh, wow.
To find a job as a lawyer. So I was like, okay, what are my choices? And deep inside of me, I had this calling to go to United States, despite the negative experience I had. I don't know why. It was intuition calling me. I just felt like I can practice law in different country, and I don't know. It was just something within me telling me to go. And I trusted that intuition. I trusted that calling, and I had $700. And for months,
that's some serious trust. And you went, and where did you go directly to?
So I went to Chicago. And don't even ask me why. Basically, it was,
I was about to.
Random decision. I met this lady a month before my departure, the planned departure to United States, at the coffee shop, and she's like, I was asking, should I go to Boston? Should I go to New York or Chicago? She's like, oh, go to Chicago. It's the best. It's the living is more affordable. I'm like, okay, let's do Chicago. So I landed in Chicago, not really speaking English. And quickly I realized that if I want to practice law in the United States, I have to go back to school. So long story short, years of studying, whatever. Graduate law school in Northwestern University, pretty good law school in Chicago. Don't ask me how I got in. I mean, obviously.
Well, did it help that you had gone to law school somewhere else in the world? Did that help at all, getting into Northwestern
law? In a way, but honestly, the jurisdiction I'm from is very different. It's a civil law system, so it didn't really help. It's a very completely different jurisdiction. But I guess I was trained to study a lot. So once you're trained, everybody who goes through law school and pass the bar is trained to study.
When you applied to law school, did you have to write an essay on the application?
Oh, yeah.
Did you mention anything that you came to the United States with $700?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I'm interested in what, because you're saying, don't ask me how I get in. Well, there's a way, there's something. And I mean, obviously you're like, I was wondering if they, if Northwestern Law School, can you hear me still?
I do, but it was freeze a little bit.
Frozen.
No. Like what I meant, it was like a joke. But of course, like I worked so hard, the admission exam and everything, and the essay. And I honestly, I remember that in the essay, I was really just being myself, like real, like I was just showing them what do I want to do with my degree, what I'm about. And I think part of it was that I am from Slovakia. They want to have diverse background of people with diverse background, and also that I'm a woman. And then I am from Eastern Europe, so
to get into law school, that's no simple task. Of course, you have to take the law school admission test as well.
Right.
So you did all of that. Now, and I've done that, so I know what that's like. So and it ain't easy. And
of course, no, it's not.
but I'm sure it's even harder when you're living by yourself from another country. And now how much time had passed between when you arrived with $700 and when you ended up taking
3 years actually. No, 2 years. Yeah.
And how'd you make money in that time? Did you get like a part-time?
No, I could not make money. That's the thing. Like I did not.
How'd you live?
So first of all, when I arrived, I worked for 4 months. I still had work visa. So during that time, I was working on J1 visa, and I was just working super hard. I think 2 or 3 jobs so I can save some money. And then
like waiting tables or stuff like that.
Most of the time.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
And then I got a loan. Otherwise, I could not, survive in the United States because I couldn't work. As the moment you are on student visa, then you can really work. So I was really challenged on so many levels. Not just with English, not just with the visa situation. Obviously, I was away from family, but I had that burning desire. And I tell you, this is what now that I'm obviously years later coaching my clients and working with entrepreneurs who are building companies in the United States, I tell them, number one thing is commitment and that burning desire. Once you have these two and you are really committed, I don't care how difficult it is, you find a way, period.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
I learned over the years, every time there was a challenge, basically I took in the challenge and I work with the challenge. So
commitment and burning, you said 2 things. Because I like to slow these down. When somebody does a little like a mic drop thing, like you just did, because I say this in the intro, not like the introduction of you, but the intro to every show. It's pre-recorded, and part of it is that like I want people to take away from these conversations, every one of these Tough Talks interviews, something, at least one thing. Like this is a successful interview if a person, one person in the world, takes away something concrete, practical that they can integrate and apply in their lives to help them up level any or all disciplines of their lives, then this interview has been a massive success. So I like to slow down when I hear people say something like you just said, because you said there's 2, you're telling this story, and it's obviously a story of like low odds. Most people would say against the odds kind of stuff. Like your history is challenging. It's not tragic. At least I haven't heard any of that, but it wasn't easy. And it's already, I can tell it's a journey that most people wouldn't have taken. So you just said commitment and burning desire.
Yep. Commitment and burning desire. So burning desire is your dream, whatever that is giving you the fuel, because you need to have that burning desire, which is the fuel to carry on that dream and turn it into manifest into tangible 3D reality. Now, if that the burning desire is not burning, then don't even go there, because trust me, it took me years to be where I am today. and the thing is that it might
Which, by the way, is in LA now, right?
Yes, now I live in LA. Yeah. So that burning desire is the foundation, I believe, in whatever we do. And if the burning desire is no longer burning, then you have to find the desire that is burning. Second is commitment.
Hold on. You're going way too fast.
Okay.
Because this is good stuff. Because this is reminding me, you and I had a very, very brief conversation 2 weeks ago prior to this, the only time we've ever spoken. And I actually cut you off because I'm like, this is too good. I want this to be fresh and live. And you're reminding me of a little bit of what you said. So, because you're very selective with the people that you coach, and I know we're getting way ahead of it, but we'll catch up. If someone, not a coaching prospect, just somebody in the world that you're talking to, and or the listeners on this call or this podcast or this blog, if someone that's listening or watching is thinking to themselves at this very moment, I don't know that I have a burning desire. I kind of wish I had a burning desire. I don't think I have a burning desire. What do you tell them?
Well, I think everyone has burning desire. It's just the question is, will you allow that burning desire surface, right? Because we all have dreams. And if you don't have a dream, just allow yourself to dream. It's going to come to you.
So I used to work with gang kids. Okay. I used to work with, and they all were in jail. And because they committed crimes, and most of them were felons, right? As like late teens. And I would meet them in jail try to form a bond with them there because they were getting released soon. And then I was going to be their counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to do was help them never return to jail by going in the complete opposite direction, which was to do what you're saying right now, which is to create a dream. Now, that was one of the hardest jobs of my life. And I don't feel like I was very successful at all. And I'll tell you why. I don't know how good a job I did at relating to them. I did my best. I do tend to relate to teenagers pretty well. But I don't know if the cultural difference was so dramatic. But I think this was the big variable. That these kids were so convinced, and I'm not entirely clear why. I have some hypotheses on why, but they were convinced that like I would ask them that exact question: "What's your dream?" And they'd be like, "Who is this guy? This is white guy doesn't know shit about me. Dream? What am I a dream? My dreams are over. My life's done. I'm a felon. I got nothing." And they were convinced of that. So they thought the question, even being asked the question, they thought that was ludicrous. Like it's almost insulting to them. You know what I mean? So the reason I bring this up is that it's an example of like convincedness. So some people have, for a multitude of reasons, a whole diverse, like smorgasbord of reasons. People, you don't have to be, have committed crimes or gone to jail or have been in a gang. All of us have been conditioned to varying degrees to believe that our dreams are inaccessible.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
You don't seem to have, I don't know if you ever struggled with that. You certainly are not struggling with it now because you're a very successful lawyer and author and coach. Like you're doing amazing things now. You're living an abundant life.
Well, I want to say that, and honestly, that is, you just said it. Like if somebody believes that dreams are just dreams and it's not for me, maybe there are other people who are lucky people who can dream, and I'm not the lucky one.
Right.
It's a matter of belief system, and I believe it's in the subconscious mind, right, which is influenced by the programming. And I was lucky enough to was raised by father who not only supported me in terms of dreaming big, but he was example of someone who is dreaming big, and I witnessed going from employed person to building his company right after the communism, which for me as a child was a proof. So that influenced me on deeper level to literally dream big. And then obviously coming from Slovakia, small town, 5,000 people don't really have dreams, they don't even believe, but my family supported me emotionally the entire time. So I'm grateful because I wouldn't be here where I am without their support, which I believe is so important. The way
do you think it's ever too
kids.
late? Like say there's like some, older folks watching and listening and thinking, oh, well, this is a nice conversation. I've had an okay life, but I don't know that I ever followed a dream. And it certainly is too late in life for that now. So I hope they get on in this conversation and talk about something relevant to me. Like, how is your, like, do you believe that it's too late in life to pursue a dream?
Absolutely not. I feel like we are creators, and just because you achieve one dream doesn't mean you're done. Or if you never achieve your dreams, doesn't mean you're done. You can decide anytime. It doesn't matter how old you are to follow your new dream.
Okay.
And as long as there is the burning desire and commitment, and then obviously action, you will make it happen.
So, all right. Well, now there's a third element. Okay. So burning desire, commitment, action.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I love that. So like, a dream, that's the burning desire. Commitment, I call that all inness.
Yes.
Right? Being infinitely committed, same exact thing. And then action, immediate action. As in my entire profession, which spanned from, youth counselor to clinical social worker to licensed therapist to sports psychologist to, executive life coach and all that, it remains true that the number one mistake that I've witnessed people over all of the years making in pursuit of their desires is waiting. is waiting. So action is a big one for me. Taking action, but not just taking action, taking immediate and bold action. I'm a big fan of that. Let's jump to your book. So why the name? Love is the law. Now, I suspect that there may be some kind of play on words because you're a lawyer? Or no?
Well, this book happened after I graduated. I moved to New York, took a bar, became licensed attorney. Nobody would hire me. I started a company with my ex, who was my ex-business partner and ex-life partner. And it didn't work out. And so I found myself in a place of desperation. My heart was bleeding and I was kind of lost. I felt like my world collapsed. Not knowing what to do, I started to meditate. And all those years, I was reading positive books, self-help books, spiritual books, especially on law of attraction. But I never meditated. I did not know what it means. And it was hard for me to meditate, just to sit and meditate. Like, what is meditation? Well, as I was meditating more and more, one day I got download. And when I say download, you can say my higher self or guide or whoever I channel the information. In other words, it was clear to me that I need to write a book.
That reminds me of, have you ever heard of Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh?
Yeah.
Kind of that deal, right? Is that similar to what you're talking about? Because
I'm going to be honest with you, because I am so analytical and at the same time, I'm very intuitive. My analytical mind is oftentimes questioning what caused that? Like, is it spirit guide? Is it you by higher self? What is that? You know what I mean? Like all these concepts, like I'm questioning, even though I know it's real because these information came to me through me, and it was effortless writing, stream of consciousness. Wow. Same thing with the name. The name actually, before around the time when I started to write the book or channel the book, I met this girl. I traveled to Hawaii, Oahu, and I met this girl, and she basically told me, you know what? I think you're going to write a book. Oh, it's going to be called Love is the Law.
She told you that?
Yeah. Random girl that I met told me that I'm going to write a book, Love is the Law. I'm like, okay.
Hold on a second. I have a couple clarification questions to ask you here.
Please do.
Why were you in Hawaii?
Good question. So this was
Thank you. Right, that's what I'm going for.
This is a time.
As a podcast host, I'm hoping that I can at least ask one good question per interview. I'm off the hook now. I'm done. The rest is yours. I've done my job.
So, I don't know why it was my birthday and I don't know why I had
okay. So it's just cool.
It's just a random thing. I decided to go to Hawaii.
Right,
yeah. Fun. That's
good.
it.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. So where did you meet this woman that told you, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. You're going to write a book. It's called Love is the Law. See you later. Was it a coffee shop? Or were we at a hula dance? Were you out surfing on Waikiki Beach?
Okay. It was a friend of mine from Slovakia. He saw that I'm in Hawaii, and so he messaged me. You should meet this girl. She's a friend of mine, mutual friend. You guys should talk. I think there's a lot in common. It's like, okay, sure. So I met this woman. Okay. She was living across the street from my hotel, literally. And we were sitting on a beach, just talking, and like that. She goes, you know what? I think you're gonna write a book. It's gonna be called Love is the Law. Just like that. Right. Okay. Yep. Well, then it was interesting. I was like, okay, cool. Then a month later, or actually 2 weeks later, it was pretty fast. In that meditation, I had that voice talking to me, telling me that we're gonna write a book. I'm like, this is crazy. But I was in so much pain after the breakup, and I lost the business that we co-founded together. I was like, you know what? Fine. I'm just gonna follow the voice. So I did, and it was stream of consciousness, 2 months nonstop. And that's how it happened. That's how I wrote the book.
Fast. To write a book, how many pages is your book, incidentally?
It was like 55,000 words. I don't know how many pages. 150, 160. Yeah.
So and it's 21 different universal laws. So it's like 21 chapters?
Yes, 21 chapters.
Yeah. In 2 months. That's amazing. The only other person I know that pulls it off that quickly is Tony Robbins, and he's psycho.
So
He's not normal.
Well, the
Like
thing
in
is
a great way. I mean that in an incredibly
no, I know what
affectionate,
you mean. Well, it happened
respectful way,
very
but that's really fast.
It happened
Yeah, well, I guess if
fast.
it's stream of consciousness, I guess that's
It
how it
was,
goes.
it
It's pretty
was.
much you're just like dictating. You're like,
Kind of.
what's okay? Now, yeah, what was next? Okay, all right. Got it.
But
Slow
then
down.
after,
I can't write this fast.
but then to be honest, after I was done, I felt that first of all, I need to start applying these principles into my life because I want to make sure that I am walking the
If you're the
talk.
messenger, you need to walk your talk, right?
And it wasn't my case back then. I was not ready. So literally it took me 4 years to work and integrate these concepts. And that is when I started to travel the world. 1 year, months,
that's when that 1 year happened.
That's when that
That
was
year
the
when
motivation.
in Kathmandu and Koh Samui.
Exactly. That's how it happened. That was the motivation for me to really start living by these principles, integrate, and then I was.
So you had the book written.
Yes, and
the
then
book
I
was
added.
Completed.
It was
sitting somewhere.
Yeah, hiding
Finished.
from the world. Yeah.
And now you're done with that, and you go off and you travel and you start to live these principles.
Yes, and then I was
this is a
adding
fascinating
the stories.
process. I didn't get that part. I don't think you say that anywhere.
No, I didn't.
I don't think you need. I don't know if you. Actually, it's really interesting. Maybe it would be interesting to put that. That's a fascinating part of the story.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know. So you had the book and you didn't publish it until how much time had passed since completion?
4 years later.
4 years. That is such an interesting thing. I've never heard of that. That's weird in a cool way.
I know.
So you write this damn book. You got 21 things, universal laws. Then you're like, yeah, that's not me, but it's awesome. I'm going to go be that. So you go trucking around the world, right? 30 days of which you spend in silence with monks.
Yes.
You did that in 2 places. You did it in Nepal.
I did in
What was the name of the
Nepal.
place in Nepal? Because a friend of mine, Doc Alley, who's a former Allison Arnold, is also a former Tough Talks guest and a former business partner of mine and one of my best friends in the world. She did that in Nepal. So what was the name of the monastery?
So this was next to Kathmandu. It's called Kirtipur Center something. But basically it's next to Kathmandu. If you Google Kirtipur Vipassana Center, you should be able to find it.
All right, Allie, if you're watching this, maybe that was the same spot. You can make a comment or let me know, send me a text. And then so you were in silence there.
Yes, and then first one it was in Bali. The second one was in Nepal, and then I did one in Hawaii recently. And in fact, I'm going to silence on Sunday.
For how long?
For 10 days.
Why?
Well, I want to use the time to recharge my energy and serve humanity in a bigger way in 2020. So
this is really interesting. Isolated from everything. Well, probably not at all isolated from everything we've discussed. Probably extremely inextricably connected to everything we've discussed so far. What's the point?
The point is to, first of all, like I said, I want to serve humanity on a larger scale, and in order for me to, I need to tap into that.
I asked the wrong question, so that wasn't me asking good questions. That was me asking bad questions. I meant what's the connection? Like, how does spending 10 days in silence help you serve the world?
Well, in order to, what's happened usually during these silent retreats, not only I am tapping into a higher level of consciousness, I am channeling more stuff. I can write another book. It comes to me as a stream of consciousness when I'm in silence, isolated. And then I'm still healing. I'm not an enlightened being, right? I have work to do on myself. And for me, I found that the rawest form and the most effective is to go through silence retreat when you actually go deep into your subconscious mind. And as you are sitting in silence, you're becoming aware of your shit, in other words, that is coming up to the surface. And as you are observing it, then it's just like healing yourself on deeper level. And then as a result, you're just shining the light and you become less dense, more energy.
Did you say less tense?
Dense. Less dense and more energy, more light. Your frequency is definitely.
I like the sounds of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
There are many, many benefits.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to not try that. I'm going to go do it. Where are you doing that?
This one I'm doing north of San Francisco, 1 hour north of San Francisco.
What's the name of the place? Do you know it?
It's camp. It's called Occidental.
Oh, okay.
It's literally
Okay.
camp in the middle of
Okay.
nowhere.
Yeah, because the person I mentioned earlier, Doc Alley, she did that also at a Jack Cornfield retreat somewhere in California. I've never done that. The most time I've ever spent in silence was, I think, 1 full day, and that was a pain in the ass for me. That was in India, and that was hardcore. I mean, that's tough to do. I can't even do it living alone. I'll spend a whole day like today. I probably won't interact with,
that's why you need to go to organized retreat where people actually help you to survive, because it's not survive. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not easy to sit in silence. You have these thoughts, but the idea is to master your mind. And it is the rawest form, the organic. It's not like you take ayahuasca and you have trip. This is trip, but it's like organic.
Have you ever tried that?
I never tried ayahuasca.
Is that something you would do? Because our buddy did recently, right? The person that we met
He did, yes,
right?
yes,
Francis Pichet, who also is a
did.
former Tough Talks guest.
Yes,
and he's had nothing but amazing things
to say. To be honest, like what I'm hearing from people who've done ayahuasca, the trip, the experience, it's very similar to silence retreat. The thing is that what I'm seeing is connection. Basically, it's DMT, the molecule DMT. You have the DMT in your pineal gland. It gets activated, and you have the experience. And if you take ayahuasca, you have it right away. If you do it in organic way, I call it through silence, or they also have the dark retreats. What's it called? Like you go to darkness and you are isolated there for a week in total darkness by yourself.
That sounds terrible.
Never done that one before.
That's like bad prison.
Well, I think it's scary. I would not go probably that far.
Yeah. So wait, are you saying that like when you go to a silent retreat like the one you're about to go on Sunday, and 10 days in silence, that you're activating the pineal glands?
You are, in a way.
You're like releasing DMT that's naturally occurring in your body?
Yes, I had a friend who is a great friend of mine. He did one retreat in silence. In fact, with me, he was in the Nepal, and he activated DMT. He had like full-blown experience. He thought that
from silence.
Just from pure silence. Like it depends. Everyone is different. Like in my case, I'm getting downloads. Like so much information from the field. Like, where is it coming from? You feel like you're genius. You're tapping into your genius.
Well, if that happened, I would want to also do it more often too. Right? It's like accessing what Deepak Chopra calls the information superhighway.
Amen to that.
And as Carl Jung referred to it as the collective consciousness.
That's exactly it. It. Yeah. And then you experience like telepathic connection, and in some cases people might see beings and extraterrestrials.
Instantaneous accessibility of information and synchronicity. All these things are coming to mind. There's a lot that you're reminding me. Wow, that's really fascinating. So you leave on Sunday.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I want to hear about, you got to give us an update.
Sure, we can do it after
because this won't post.
We can
so
totally
you're
do
like
that.
We're recording this a couple months in advance of it going public. So if you could, when you come back, give us an update, and I could put some of that into the show notes. Yeah, I think that would be cool. In fact,
totally.
Let's do it. Be cool.
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, right on. So tell us where can people? Where do they get your book? Your book is accessible at several places. Where do you recommend?
Well, you can get it through Amazon. You can get it on Apple Books, Google Books, Barnes and Noble.
So Love is the Law. Just go to
loveisthelaw.com. Loveisthelaw.com.
Okay, that's right. You have your own, but loveisthelaw.com, right?
Yeah.
And is that now if people wanted to connect with? So you're doing coaching.
Yes, I do.
Tell me about your ideal client right now, in case somebody's listening that's like, oh my God, I'm totally resonating with her, with Marieta Oslanec.
Okay, so there are two types of ideal clients. One is somebody who is transitioning, somebody who is in corporate or professional, maybe a lawyer, accountant, whatever, and they want to start their own freedom entrepreneurship journey. They have no idea how to start. They're tired, sick and tired of 9 to 5 journey, whatever life that it's not serving them, and they have dream, vision, and they want to
desire.
They have the burning desire, and they want to create purpose-driven business. I'm all about purpose.
Purpose-driven business, great.
Yes, they can contact me. Or the other one is somebody who is existing entrepreneur who is already in business, but they feel stuck, overwhelmed, or possibly anxious. They don't know how to scale the business. They don't know how to move forward. They don't know how to go bigger. They are feeling tired and stuck. They can contact me as well.
And what's the best way for them to do that?
To
contact you.
Oh, to contact you. Simply, they can go to marietaoslanec.com, or they can go to loveisthelaw.com.
So either one. So it's your personal
and I'm
website
everywhere,
or the book website.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'll make sure I put those into the show notes as
also,
well.
Also, I'm everywhere. I have a YouTube channel. I have Instagram.
So then I'll tell you what, I'll put all your social media stuff in there. And for those of you that are listening on podcast version, then just Google. So Marieta's name is spelled M-A-R-I-E-T, one T, A, Oslanec, O-S-L-A-N-E-C.
Yes. Yes.
I watched some of your videos, and when you say your name, you say it so fast. I literally, just before this call, listened to you say your name probably 50 times. You say it so fast. And you don't say, I know, you don't say Marieta. You say like, Marieta Oslanec. And it's like you only have one name, Marieta Oslanec. Wait, what? I have to get that the software that slows it down. Marieta Oslanec.
This is so much fun. I love this.
Right on. All right. Well, you know what? This has been super cool and interesting, and I really want to thank you for agreeing to be a guest. And I can't wait to hear what miracles you co-create in your upcoming 10 days of silence. So I encourage everybody to book and check you out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Take care.
Now, I can't wait for her to get back from her 10 days in silence, because I want to hear what happens. She did make a pledge after we hung up or stopped recording. Before we hung up, I reiterated to her that I was really serious. I'd love to hear from her again. So I'm going to make myself a note to contact her in a couple weeks when she's back to hear what happened for her, because I think we're all pretty damn interested in what goes on. Like she's like obviously listening to her, she's fully in expectation that something profound is going to be happening, and she sounds very unapologetically clear, which is totally refreshing to me. That she's tapping in to what towards the very, very end we were discussing. Certain other great teachers from history that I love referred to, like I mentioned, Carl Jung, the collective unconscious, and Deepak Chopra, one of my favorite teachers, refers to it similarly as the information superhighway that is instantaneously accessible, right? If we tap in, and it sounds like that's how she's tapping in. She's going into silence and tapping in, connecting. So that's cool. So I'll make sure to put some notes, to add some notes into this when I get the download of her download. And in the meantime, I'll make sure to put into the notes also her contact information website, the website for her website for her book, and then LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and all that. So, all right, I hope you took some value out of that one, and thanks again for tuning in. And as always, great miracles. See you guys next time.